take a plane to another plane, to another plane, to another plane, bumping Baka not nice while I'm trapping in the rain.
All right, so we are recording.
All right.
And I am here with Mistical Being.
Hello.
Hello. She is coming from Kansas City, Missouri, in the wild circus of the United States of America. So this is, we scheduled this kind of before all of the mayhem started. But I'm happy as a Canadian to have some American perspectives scheduled right now just by happenstance. I think that it's important to get different voices from different places down there. And I welcome you on this show, and I really appreciate it. You're actually the first woman I've had on the show, so that's a big thing. No pressure there. But
Okay. All right.
But I'm super happy to have you. I honestly, I don't know a whole lot about you. We connected and I kind of looked into a little bit of what you do, but I'd love to hear you talk about it and sort of let the people know where they can find you and sort of a little bit about what you do. Maybe we can start from there.
Okay. All right. We can start from there. So like you said, I'm Misty. I live in Kansas City, and I don't have a classification for what I would say I do. I just do what I do. And so I do read tarot. I make healing, and actually I have quite a few different vials of crystals because I use crystals for a lot of their properties and whatnot. So you can find me Facebook, probably Mistical Being. That's MISTICAL, and then it's Being, BING. Sorry, I'm like super nervous because I don't think I've ever done anything like this. So I'm really excited to be on here, though.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. And you have no reason to be nervous. This is going, honestly, so far the show, because I make music, so far the show has been people sort of from the music world that have jumped on and volunteered to jump on. And it's kind of where my network mostly is. But the show being called Ezza Trips Balls, I really wanted to start getting into some funkier stuff. Yeah, I wanted to start getting into the good stuff.
Exactly.
So you're kind of again, not only the first woman on the show, but you're the first one turning it in this direction, really. I mean, obviously we've dabbled. Okay. A lot of artists and musicians are certainly into some psychedelic stuff, no question. Okay. But to go full out into somebody who does readings or works with crystals or something like that, I think a lot of people want to hear directly from those people, and not just something that they're reading in a blurb on Facebook or seeing on an Instagram post or whatever. So maybe talk a little bit about, like, you told me kind of briefly in our discussion that you've kind of been in this your whole life. You've been this way.
I have.
So maybe talk about how do you discover that, like, as a kid? How old were you? And then maybe how do you find others like you? How do you figure out what that even is,
Okay, that's great, because this is, yes. Okay, so it really started out when I was super young. I would say like 3, 4, where I would have premonitions of things that would happen. And it's really weird too, because like your abilities change the older you get. So you like gain more and some fall back, and like,
okay.
So it's very interesting. So really my first like big, like, where I was like, holy crap, this is weird, like, what is this, was probably about 8, when I lost my great grandfather. But I had a dream the night before, like I seen the entire scene that I walked into the following day.
Wow.
As an 8-year-old child. So that was very, very eye-opening. At that point, I had no idea what it was, but like the stars were always my thing. Like the whole God thing just didn't make any sense to me. Like, one God created all of this. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. There had to be more. There's more, you know what I'm saying? And so then I had my next experience when I was probably about 13. So I would say I was going through like an ascension at 13. And I wish I would have been more prepared, but I would show you the original book that was gifted to a friend who I consider we came here together. We have some kind of a contract that we came together. We're 3 months apart. Our parents lived across the street from each other while they were pregnant and were involved in each other's lives. So I call her my womb sister. I've known her I'll be 39 this year. She's 38, but like I said, we're 3 months apart. So when I turn 39 in 3 months, she'll be 39.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. And it was, it's by, Judy Woolfolk, I do believe is her last name. But that kind of gave us like this basis to start finding the stuff that was so unanswered prior. So that was kind of like what led us into, and I say us because she has been just as much a part of my ascending as I have. Obviously, like I said, we're womb sisters. So like, opening up thing, you know? And,
you're already blowing my mind a little bit because I have a similar relationship in my life, but go on.
So about, I would say like 12, me and her started magically manifesting things. Like one day we were walking down the street and I was telling her a story how I had been walking down the street prior, and not this specific day, but prior, and found a pack of cigarettes. Of course, mind you, we were 12-year-olds, we were hellions, so we're smoking cigarettes. So I'm telling her this story. And boom, there are a pack of cigarettes. Okay, so like literally, like we manifested it. It was and not even intentionally. We didn't even know what we were doing.
Of course,
we had
right?
we just discovered a thing called astrology. Like, you know what I mean? So
crazy.
And we had multiple things like that happen throughout life with us. And so, and then I would say I went through a major ascension at like the age of 19. So that would have been like, around 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. And so I went through this major ascension where I absolutely thought that I was freaking insane because I could literally hear people's thoughts. Like I knew what they were going to say before they said it. And things of that nature literally make you feel like you're fucking insane because you're like, no way. Like still even now, and the more in depth I get into it, the more like I'm like, damn, am I a narcissist? Or am I making this shit up? But you can't make it up. There's no way that you can't
That's
make it
the
up.
thing is it's so impossible to get people to understand that, like, who haven't had those types of experiences, that it's fucking real. You know what I mean? Like there's just no other explanation for some of these things other than some sort of magic, it's like the shit's unbelievable.
Well, our history is based off of magic. You know what I'm saying? If you go back to like Christian religion is based off of paganism. You know what I'm saying? So like it's based off of ritualistic type magic. So yes. I mean,
I've actually talked about on the show before very briefly, but I was tiptoeing. I was a little bit freaked out to get into it, but I'm glad you brought it up because it's so freaking true. And the more I think about it, it's the ritualistic magic shit is all around us. That's what's going on,
Exactly.
It's so chippy.
At this point, it totally is trippy. Damn, I should have ate some mushrooms before I did this podcast.
Thank you for reminding me. I had a question in mind for you and I forgot it. And that was going to be my question. Is this ascension around 19, was it in...
None of these experiences have ever been drug based. I have never experienced trippy things while on drugs. If that is, it's crazy. It's like,
okay,
it has
cool.
like, now I'm not going to say that when I take mushrooms, I really like to sit quietly listening to frequencies with my eyes closed, and I get tons of visual. It's like, I've never used DMT either, so I don't really know.
Neither have I, yeah.
Heard a lot of people talk about that, that's the experience that they have, but like, none of my stuff ever came from drug induced.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I for me, it was like, I wouldn't say that, me being on the the path that I'm on, it was drug induced, but I would say that it certainly coincided with getting into cannabis, getting into mushrooms, and then kind of after kind of getting to those parts of reality, I'd say my brain, but I don't even think it's the brain anymore. I think it's just the cosmic soup, go into those parts of it. When I come back to my sober state or whatever, I don't lose that. I still continue to have the synchronicity happen and stuff like that. Like, of course I can get into my ruts where you get bouts of depression or anxiety or whatever it is. But for the most part, like, once you've kind of hit, you kind of see that, you never unsee it, the synchronicities and stuff. It's overwhelming sometimes.
It really is. So I'm also currently in a twin flame. They technically 3D separation, but yeah, the synchronicities are almost impossible to ignore, like daily, like just yesterday. So like just yesterday, I had a customer come in and the total was 333. Well, that same customer came back in and his total was 777. The very next customer after that total was 444. You know what I mean? Like, just constantly, wow. Like, just like yesterday, I was on a video chat with one of my other soberish girlfriends, which soberish has brought me lots of great things. But
shouts out to Jessa Reed.
Right. Yes. It's crazy though, because, she had that podcast where she said some will move on, some will stay. I actually have kind of been the person who moved on. Like, I'm kind of seeking different knowledge than what
Me
she
too.
gave me.
It's weird. Yeah, like I'm behind so many episodes now, and it's like not out of not be, but it's just like I feel like and you know what's crazy is like that first chunk of episodes I got into were like, it was like miracle, it was miraculous. And for some reason I just haven't gone back lately. It just hasn't,
It's not the same. Yeah. She forewarned us. It's crazy because I used to, I would take notes on her podcasts so that I could compare them. And I was so for the last hour, I've been sitting here going back through my notebooks because I journal a ton. I try and do intuitive writing nightly. So where I'm just letting my hand go and just whatever is there is.
I need to start doing that. Yeah.
I tell you what is so therapeutic. There was a free intuitive Zoom class and I took it. So I took it on here and did the Zoom, and it was awesome. And then everybody who did it, you had the option to like share or not share. And, so that was really cool. It was nice to hear like what other people came up with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Especially the people who picked the same symbol without like knowing. None of us knew who picked what symbol. You know what I'm saying? Like, we each picked our own symbol and then wrote.
Okay.
That was like one of them. That's like, he did like 3 different exercises with us, which was pretty cool. Like, one was from like doing a short meditation into a writing session, basically. It was interesting. Definitely check it out. I'll have to send you the link whenever I get the chance.
Yeah. I'm really that intuitive writing stuff really resonates with me. And you know what's funny is actually, when I was super into Soberish, I did get a reading from Jessa, and she told me to start doing it, and I haven't. But she told me other things that all fucking came true. Yeah, and wasn't like, and she was predicting some serious shit going down in early 2020. Since like fall 2019, she's like, I don't know, she's like, I'm getting like there's gonna be like natural disaster or something, like,
look,
you know, it's crazy.
I wrote it down. That exact podcast that you're talking about, I wrote notes on that exact one, and I'm pretty sure really heavy energy. It said, oh my goodness, it was yeah, she's been spot on. It's really crazy because most of the astrologers that are on YouTube right now are being accurate with the energy that we're in. And it's weird because I just seen a post on Facebook that was about Chiron being, where was it? It was I think it was in Cancer for Earth. Basically, like, we were at a point in the Earth's time that like something drastic is going to happen, you know.
Damn.
Yeah. We are definitely in a interesting time. You know, it's crazy because as a child, so I always knew something is gonna happen. Like, so much so that like at one point as a child, I'd say probably second grade, I saved milk jugs full of water because I thought the earth was going, the sun was going to hit the earth. How I thought freaking these jugs of milk was going to save the entire planet, I don't know. I guess I was a kid with big dreams.
Good for you.
Exactly. Like, saving the planet has always been like something very important to me, which is I just randomly had a tarot reading it was a guy live on Facebook. I was a first-time viewer. Never seen the guy in my life. He draws 3 oracle cards for me and basically starts telling me about my galactic origins, which when I start talking about those, I feel like I'm kind of narcissistic, or like it sounds very narcissistic, because it's very much so that like we're gods. We were gods. We're in a prison planet that is meant to continue to reincarnate the souls on fear. So instead of allowing people to ascend past this, they keep, you know, out of fear, all the way back to like Lemuria with the lizard people, you know, taking over and ruling with fear.
Right, and I think an important thing to get across is, well, first of all, the fact that you acknowledge that you have insecurities about sounding narcissistic or whatever just shows that these woo people are self-aware about it, you know. And that's one thing I loved about Jessa, is that she's just so like, you know, like, this shit is crazy, this shit is fucking crazy, you know. And it's like, so
my mind, like, it literally blows my own mind, you know.
Yeah,
like,
so I think what people need to realize is that when you say these things about yourself and your galactic origins, you're not saying it's just you. It's all of us.
Yes, it's
you know, and I think that's something important to realize. It's just, you know, you happen to have gotten a reading that told you something that resonated with you, and other people deny that it's even a thing, but it doesn't mean that you're saying that you're the only God. No, like, we're all gods, you know.
We're all gods,
and we're all infinite. So, you know, let me ask you a question, because the prison planet thing, you know, obviously I've read into all of this stuff. What doesn't resonate with me about the prison planet thing is that the love and the divinity and the it seems very accessible, you know, and this place really is beautiful in and of itself. It's a paradise, you know, like every resource you need is here. It, aside from what humans have done to it, it's pretty much a paradise. So why would a prison be so beautiful, and why would love and divinity and magic and all these things be so easily accessible? Because they are, as soon as you accept them, you know. To me, that doesn't ring as a prison. If it is a prison, it's the most merciful, loving prison that there's ever been, right? Which, thank you, if that is the case. I'll serve that sentence.
Right. Well, so I totally I see where you're coming from with that. So my understanding is that prior to the lizard people coming here, it was nothing but the love. You know what I mean? But the lizard people came in and they wanted to turn it into a game, like who could make the best human is basically what it was about for them. And so therefore they took that beauty away and gave us the freedom of choice, because it's a choice to see the beauty in everything there is. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? That's your choice. If you choose not to, then you're probably living a pretty ugly life.
And a
You know what I mean?
lot of people choose not to.
And a lot of people choose not
Unconsciously
to.
even.
Even unconsciously, yes. So I can remember one time I had a conversation with my little sister, and she's about 8 years younger than I am. And she's kind of like I hate to say a ill will about my sister, but she's kind of like just very 3D. And one day I told her something and I looked up at the sky and she said, wow, I don't think I've ever looked up at the sky. And I said,
Oh
what?
my God.
How could you have never looked up at the sky?
I can't even imagine.
Can you imagine? She's like, no, I never even thought about that. And I remember what it was. We were stoned. We were sitting outside, and I said, can you believe we're a planet orbiting in outer space? And she goes, no, I don't even ever look up. And I was like, what? Like, it was just crazy. It was like,
Can you think of the amount of people that are probably like that? You know,
same way.
it's kind of scary to think about, right?
No, because I'm just so love, and like I see good, like I try to see good, so I think that everybody sees that same way, and that might be me like shielding my own self, but I feel like in order to get love, you have to give love, and you have to see love, and you have to see it in sometimes all the wrong people, because
Yes.
you know what I mean? They need it the most,
Yeah.
you know? So it's,
Well, here's the other thing I think of is like, you almost have to filter seeing the beauty and love in everything to function. You know what I'm saying? Because if I really let in the true beauty and love of everything around me, I'd just be crying you know what I mean? Like I'd just be crying tears of joy constantly, because like I'm just so fortunate to be, you know what I mean? To just have all this, you know, we're all just so lucky, right? And it's just, yeah, you almost have to, in order to have a life, you kind of have to like filter that down into like, okay, you know what? This chair is fucking wobbly. Fuck this chair. I'm going to go out and work so I can afford a new goddamn chair. And then you have an adventure and you have a life. You know what I mean? Like if you just gave into, but then some people that becomes their entire being. Like I think you have to kind of wave in and out of it, you know?
so the reading that I just currently was speaking about, the gentleman told me that I spend a lot of time in the spiritual realm, and that it's making it hard for me to connect in the 3D world. And it really does. Like I pretty much, besides the interaction that I have with people online and customers while I'm at my 3D job, I mostly spend all of my time by myself in a spiritual state. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to bring myself back down and ground myself and get more prepared for our mission, because everybody wants to take their places. You know what I mean? Everybody needs to take their places, doing their part, raising the vibration. You know what I'm saying? Because until that, it's just going to be basically death and destruction. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Wow. Oh boy, it's a crazy world we're living in.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I almost can't believe that as a child I had all this knowledge, but I really didn't think that I was gonna see the day. You know what I'm saying? Like for me as a child, it felt very, very far off, even though I was preparing for it. And so I'm almost upset with myself that I didn't realize then what I needed to be doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I told you I've been awake since I pretty much can remember. But there was a short period of time that I feel like I was still very clairvoyant, but it was dimmed. My light was dimmed a little for a few years, and then it just came right back. And then so I have RH negative, and you have to get a shot for that.
Okay.
And I think it has something to do with each other. I've been doing a little bit of research on it, like because they say that the RH negative is some kind of an alien blood. Which then just like also leads me back to the whole we are gods thing. And not everyone is a god, but they're still all spiritual beings. You know what I'm saying? So you have gods, you have goddesses, and then you have everyone. I think. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I feel like
it's a little hard to tell sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is this person supposed to, like, what is this person supposed to be? You meet a lot of people that are like, wow. But I think like the the idea of the hero's journey, like the Jesus story, for example, the idea of, basically uniting the divine and the 3D, finding that balance.
I think that's the mission in life. I think that's the
Yeah.
mission for us. I really do. I feel like it's the mission for us.
Yeah, I think we're meant to kind of bring this realm back to that place, but having all the stuff now that we can benefit from that dark age, where, you know what I mean? Like, I imagine back when we were just like loving conscious beings who didn't know any better. We didn't have, like houses and sewers, and you know what I mean? Like, there seemed to be some really impressive like architecture that's lasted, centuries, and more than centuries, thousands of years, millennium. But I don't know, like, could you imagine now with the technology we have, if we were to somehow miraculously enter back into a light age, but it doesn't seem like it's going in that direction, does it? I mean, we're all doing our part to sort of raise the vibration, but there seems to be an equal, hopefully not equal, but it seems at least almost equal force also guiding us in a bad direction, so basically, in my mind, what we're here to witness or be a part of is either the end of a species or the awakening of a species. I guess it depends.
The awakening of the species, not the end of it.
Yeah, I feel like if we have anything to say about it, it's going to be the awakening.
I don't know, though. There's a lot of lizard people, man. That's what I was talking to my friends about, like, how many more people are spiritually awake than there are people who are lizard people. That's why they're not gods, because they're lizard people. They are technically probably gods in their own right. You know what I'm saying? But they're lizard people.
Yeah, well, a lot of whoever they are, their power seems to be based in our belief in and fear of them. It seems like if you don't fear them, there's not a whole lot they can do.
That is also very true, but a lot of people, that's the thing, though, is they have feared us to fear them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so,
yes, and to fear each other.
Cycle, yeah, and to fear each other, exactly, and to break that cycle, we have to. It goes back to the love and the unity. You know what I'm saying? Seeing each other as equal.
I think that's the only timeless thing. It's the past and it's the future. It's what's underneath all of this. All of these tremors of history and madness are all just like over top of a sea of fucking just love, and we're just trying to get back there somehow. And you take a second to breathe and you can feel it, but a lot of people just ain't taking a second to breathe ever.
That is true.
Yeah.
I like to breathe I do. I love to breathe for a purpose. Do you burn Palo Santos?
Is that just like sage?
No, this is
Oh,
actually
that's like the wood. It's kind of like a wooden texture, right?
it is, yeah. It's a piece of wood. It's the holy tree.
I tell you
And
what, I had a buddy when I lived out west that burnt that stuff all the time. And then I tried to buy some when I got back here and it wasn't nearly as good. Like he had some good shit. Like I bought some cheap stuff and it didn't stay burning or whatever. But yeah, I know the stuff. So tell me a little bit about it. The holy tree.
okay, so it's not supposed to stay burning. You have to make it burn. It's
Okay.
mostly so most of the time, like in shamans are the ones who burn this, so they're the um but sometimes I will burn this and I will chew on mugwort, and it's very good for opening up your third eye so that you can meditate and see clearer and things of that nature. This is really good for drawing in positive energy and cleansing any negative energy. So it's a little bit different than sage. But it smells amazing. I say I eat it all the time because I just like burn the crap out of it. Like I'll burn it and burn it and burn it because I just like inhale it.
It's a good smell and it's kind of addicting too. Like I always wanted to hang out in that dude's room.
Yes. 'Cause it smells like my friends are always like, you're burning Palo Santos. But I normally get it at the metaphysical shop, but this time I got it online from Amazon, and this one's really good. So
Galactic
it's
brain.
yeah, Palo Santos. So it's not supposed to keep burning. You have to. That's why you keep seeing me relight it, because if I'm not actively making it burn, it stops burning because of the resin inside. But you don't get a smell when it's burning. You get the smell when it's smoking. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you properly would use it. You would catch it on fire, and I like to get it good and on fire so that it kind of has its own flame, and then I'll blow it out. I like to play with the
See, I didn't know what I was doing then, but the dude that I knew that had it, he obviously knew what he was doing because the room would smell like it all the time. It was great.
Well, and he also might have had cones that were pressed wood. They make
it could have
cones
been
pressed wood, yeah. So there's different forms of it. You actually can use it in tea. It's really good for that, and yeah, it just definitely is a delightful aroma. So
yeah, it certainly is, and for people who don't necessarily believe in the woo stuff, even like what I try to put it in ways that people can understand, right? It's like you for example, for me, I just love burning incense, and when I burn incense I feel more creative. I feel more a bunch of things. I just feel better. I feel more at peace. Now I could be a cold hard sciencey guy and be like, well, the molecules from the incense are sitting on these receptors and that's triggering dopamine in your brain. That's this, that. It's like, but all that is still just energy, right? Like if all those molecules are made of atoms and those atoms are just fucking little bits of energy floating around, and all of that at the quantum level is just kind of waves, and they pop in and out of existence at random, and none of it fucking really is like all of that's still just energy. And if you're willing to believe that, then why not be willing to believe that like magic and it's just another way of wording or describing that energy, that maybe we're no longer comfortable with as a society because we've had all this sciencey stuff just hammered into us, either science or the one God fucking theory, most of us have had one of those two things hammered into our heads. So the idea of all this, chakras and third eyes and all this, like it freaks people out. They're like, oh, you sound kind of crazy. And it's like, no, like, it's just kind of describing the same shit just with different words. It's almost, do you agree with what I'm saying in a way? Am I making sense?
Yes, I absolutely do. Words are hard, first of all. And second of all, we already have the language, like vibes. And, I mean, those are,
Yeah.
those are, these people are using the language, but they're not accepting it. I have my twin flame is not awake. Like the worst part about it is that he's an empath, but he denies it. So like
Okay.
his empathicness angers him, so he won't claim it. So he won't, he will block it off and be like, vibes aren't real, but then and it's quite interesting, because I really I think I'm like, they say that twin flame journeys, you meet each other for either your awakening or theirs. It's an interesting journey. Wouldn't wish it on anybody. That is for sure. I really think that, because like I said, I was already awake, and so I pretty much kind of woke him up, or made him more aware of his own being.
Right.
So no, it is definitely, we have the language for it. We just aren't. We were programmed certain things that make people fearful of it. I mean, that was the whole thing with the lizard people, I mean, is that making people fearful of the magic. Everybody has magic. The magic is inside of you. Nobody can take it away from you. Like, you are the magic. I listened to Ryan Singer. Did you listen to the 2-hour podcast with Ryan Singer and Jessa?
No, I don't think I've heard him with Jessa. I was just listening to him with Sam Tripoli, though.
You have to go listen to the one he does with Jessa. He talks about how he's down on this witch's land down in Florida, and
okay, yes, I did hear that. And you know what's crazy is I was listening to him on Tinfoil Hat today, and he was telling that story, and I'm going in my head, I've heard you tell this fucking story before, but I couldn't think of where from, and I heard him with fucking Jessa. Damn,
yes,
now you're connecting things in my brain from my drive to work this morning. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, I know I heard him tell this fucking story before. But
it's what I do, and it's part
that
of my
story, yes, thank you. You've done a few with me today. But that story was fucking mind-blowing, man.
Well, so he says at one point, he said that, they were using their energy, things to check for energies. And he said that this one spot, he kept going over it, and the energy was just insane and insane and insane, but there was nothing there. And the witch comes in and she says, well, that's where I practice all my magic. And he says, but there's nothing there. Because you don't need anything to be the magic. You are the magic.
Yes.
It's about believing in that and putting your energy into it.
Yeah, and then they don't want us to fucking know that about ourselves. That's where the fear comes in.
Tell everybody that.
Yep, that's that's ultimately the goal. And I think like you said, even people who are not awake or who are deniers of the whole thing, they still are starting to come around to the language and come around to without even realizing it. And I think synchronicities are big things that trigger people's awakening. Like your twin flame, for example, what would his reaction be to an amazing synchronicity? Would he just say, oh, it's just a coincidence or whatever? Because for me, one of those people in my life is my dad, who's not a religious or a spiritual person, so to speak. He doesn't talk about that stuff at all, but when synchronicities happen, he's blown away, and he's like, okay, something's going on. You know what I mean? That's the one thing where it's okay, there's no other explanation here besides something bigger's at work. So how would someone like your twin flame react to a miracle?
He gets blown away. I mean, to tell the truth, we have quite a few. We right when we got together, both got into a car accident the same day.
Oh, two separate car accidents?
2 separate car accidents. Same day.
That's pretty wild. Maybe you're both just horrible drivers. What's going on?
No, that's the thing. Totally not a horrible driver, I swear. Other things like just random. I have some of those wrote down too. Just all sorts of crazy things. Like, so one time we were sitting next to each other and we had just got done eating dinner, and I, in my head, thought, ooh, I really want a snack. Damn it, we ate that last night. And then I was like, oh, there's the cupcake. But I didn't say it out loud. And he goes, oh, there's the cupcake. And, oh, like we both were just like way too blown away.
I love shit like that, man.
He just doesn't like, he's not woo. He's not willing, to open his mind. He's not open to that,
It's a lot to let go of for some people.
Yeah, it really is. Especially when you've lived a life that you feel has just been horrible. I mean, that's when you think negatively, you have negativity in your life. Really the power of thought is the most powerful magic there is.
It's unbelievable.
It's just the power of thought. Just what is going to make today great? Like I wake up, people are like, dang, how come you're so happy in the morning? Because I woke up, I get to enjoy this another day. Even on my worst day, I'm still okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm still happy to be here. Maud's son, happy to be here.
Yeah, and that's, as much as every fiber of my being believes that and gets with that, I still, some mornings I'm just not that person, and it's like I want to eventually, train myself to be able to just think positive all the time, and just make positive out of negative.
I've had to reprogram myself. I do it by utilizing YouTube. I'll listen to like good morning affirmations. So like I'll set my alarm and that is what goes off is morning affirmations like you are beautiful. You are love. I mean, in the sweetest, kindest voice. And when you're waking up and you hear that and it just sets the tone right.
It's just a reminder, yeah.
It's a reminder. And, a lot of it's really about reprogramming your mind for every negative thing that you say, give yourself 2 positive things to say,
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good practice right there. Yeah. That's a practical one. I think people need easy, practical practices for their everyday lives just to make themselves just a little bit happier every day. And then it'll exponentially grow from there. Life responds to your thoughts. It meets you kind of halfway, I find.
I would definitely say.
Yeah, you kind of set the direction and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll come with you there. It's pretty dope. So let me ask you something, because this womb sister thing, I've never really heard somebody talk about having that kind of relationship the same way that I have had with a womb brother. Now, you can pretty much beat for beat explain the same, like just in a different context, obviously a little bit of a different upbringing, but we were born 2 weeks apart from each other. Circumstances brought his mom to my town,
Right.
Ended up being, and circumstances, my school shut down when I was 6 years old. I started a new school when I was 7. It was his school. And from there we became, best of friends. Did the music thing together, eventually getting into the spiritual kind of woo shit together, psychedelics, cannabis, all that great stuff. Now, yeah, it's incredible stuff, right? And sort of discovering synchronicities. And now here's the dark part. A few years ago, he passed away, and the story of his passing is just incredible layers of synchronicity that's deeply, to me, intimately connected to our relationship. So I feel like a big part of me like lives in and I can't make anybody else understand what that relationship was, you know, the way that you kind of described your womb sister thing. Like I can't really make anybody else understand like the synchronicities, and just our entire relationship was miraculous, right? And even to his death was like I said, like multiple synchronicities involved in what happened with him. And I said it'll be 6 years this November, and I still, you know, live with it every day, like trying to continue on like what we were doing together, but by myself, you know. And you know, I want just not to put a big wet blanket on the conversation, because I, you know, fully out, I'm okay talking about it and everything, but I want to hear from a perspective of somebody who has that womb sibling relationship. Like how would you go on? You know what I mean? Like I don't, you know, like what are your thoughts?
I literally, I'm almost in tears
Yeah,
because
sorry.
I am so sorry. I know, and I apologize if I get emotional, but I commend you for being so strong and being able to speak so proudly on your connection and
Thank you.
your carrying on of him, okay, first and foremost. And no, I cannot fathom it, okay. At one point, my friends were very well aware that if I had a dream with you in it, you were going to die. That was just my ability at the time.
Right.
And I had a dream about my best friend passing away. I watched it was a car accident. She crashed in her backyard because it was off the highway, and she crashed off the highway into her backyard and was suffocating in the car under the snow, and she couldn't be found. Okay.
Wow.
That was the dream. Thank goodness it was thankfully nothing more than a dream, or at least up to this point it has been nothing more than a dream. Typically when I dream of death, it happens instantly. It's the next day.
You must have been horrified.
I had a nosebleed. I was anxiety ridden. I couldn't get a hold of her at the time because of course I immediately awoke from it and immediately tried to find her. So much so that I went to where I thought her car crashed at, just to be sure. And thankfully by that point she had gotten back a hold of me. And she's okay. But yeah, I just can't even imagine I don't see her on a day-to-day, like daily basis. You know, she
Right.
lives actually about half an hour away. But when you have a connection like that, they don't have to be here physically.
Absolutely.
I could call on her right now and she would be here. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Not here, but her energy is now here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's really interesting how it almost changes the perspective of death when you can encounter the energy even though it isn't physically present.
Yes. And that's been a profound thing for me.
Yes, awesome. And that's probably very much so why you're able to speak about it so bravely. You know, I mean, just because emotion, just like when you said that, I was like, don't you cry.
Well, I really appreciate you. And yeah, no, I you obviously create an energy where I felt comfortable coming out with that and talking about that. So thank you. And no, it just, you really struck a chord when you were talking about that earlier, and I was just like, oh my God, like that is a thing. That's not just me. So thank you for that. Because like it's almost like I feel like I'm in the wrong, not necessarily the wrong, like sorry, because a lot of things, you know, as a result of having this new relationship with death, I've become a different person, and in a lot of ways a better person, I would say, or I would hope. So to say that I wish things were different, it's a weird fucking thing, right? It's a weird feeling. Like, my relationship with him wouldn't be the same without his death being a part of it. But at the same time, you also feel like you're in the wrong fucking universe. Like, how am I here without him? Like, we're supposed to be here together. Like, we're supposed to be in this realm, in this plane, in this life, whatever this fucking thing is. We're supposed to be in this at the same time. That was the deal. Like, that's kind of what part of me feels like. Like, we had a deal from before we were born, and now I'm just here by myself. I'm looking around like, yo, what happened to your part of the deal? Like, you know. But it's a funny thing, right? And it's like, and I kind of have dreams about him where that's kind of our relationship, where it's like, it ends up being like, he's in the dream, it's like he's alive, but he was hiding for the last 6 years, and I'm like, feel betrayed, and I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, I thought you were dead. We had a funeral, like, you know what I mean? And it's almost like that almost translates to like what my spirit, part of my spirit, is saying, is like, dude, what the fuck? Like, we were supposed to be here together, and now I'm here by myself, you know. But at the same time, like what happened with him is like, and the years since have enriched me so much, and I wouldn't be the same without it. So it's almost like it's part of the journey. But yeah, it's such a strange fucking thing. What's that?
Was part of your contract.
Yeah, this was part of the contract, and it's like, and again, you know, sounds super narcissistic to relate myself to Jesus, and I swear I've never had this thought before, but it's almost like the "why have you forsaken me" thing, right? Like, like Jesus isn't actually mad at God, but like in the moment he's like, what the fuck? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, what did I do? You know? And even though I still am in complete love with life and with, you know, whatever God is, this whole thing, there's that part of me that's like, man, like, why without him, you know? So yeah, it's wild stuff.
That is wild. And I wanted to kind of stop and make a point for people who are skeptical. Like, they always expect for people who have or claim to have abilities to like do stuff on command, or like things of that nature. And whereas like I have friends who have asked me to basically, when that happens, it's kind of like, do a trick, you know, and it's kind of annoying.
To me, it's like, sorry.
That's not how it works. It happens. It works in the manner of which, like, I just triggered something in you that resonated, something that made you click something. That's how it works. You know? Yeah,
it's not like a trick, and it's almost the same as asking. It's like asking an artist to make art on the spot. It's like no, that's not how art works. Like, I need to be inspired. Like, something has to happen in my life, or I need to see something that inspires me to turn that into something else. That, like, it takes a lot of synchronicities for a piece of art to end up happening, right? You don't just make art on the spot. And it's the same with some of these magic abilities. It's like, you can't just do it on the spot. It's like, no, it's an energy thing. It's a finesse. It's an energy art almost that sometimes you don't even know you're doing.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I actually didn't really check you out, so I had no idea about the music thing, but I used to do promotion, so I used to promote for music artists. I would book shows and things of that nature. So that's very interesting. Like, we have quite a few syncs are like between us for being total strangers, which just really goes to show it's an exchange of energy. You
Absolutely.
know?
And it's not bound by distance. It's not bound by distance. It's not bound by the 3D, you know? Like, the internet's almost a manifestation of it, or as close to a 3D manifestation of it as you can get. You know, there's this thing here where it doesn't really matter how far you are apart, but you can somehow exchange these electrons, you know, this translate to something, right? And that exists without the internet, just between us as souls, or as energies, or whatever you want to call it, right? And that's what I think we're tapping back into. We're looping back around, I think, is what's happening. We've gone all the way through to the other side. We're just finding ourselves back at where we started.
That sounds about right too.
Yeah, at least I hope so.
You and me both. I'm definitely, trying to manifest that. I feel like right now we're in a death. We're in a death moment. We're very death energy. I'm a Scorpio, so death is nothing. Like, I live in the darkness, but I feel like, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's it's the death card. Like, no, death is rebirth. Death is transformation. And transforming is greatness. You know what I mean? Continuing to evolve. I mean, nobody wants to be stuck in a cycle.
Yeah, I mean, even the scientific version of evolution requires a whole lot of death to happen. You know what I mean? Like, all those species got to die, and then be born. Then their offspring get born with adaptations and stuff like that. Generation after generation, but there's got to be death, man. It's a part of life. It's a part of growth. It's part of evolution, and the experience of like an ego death, which again is one of those terms that like has been so fucking overused and stuff. It almost feels weird saying, or narcissistic saying, but it's a profound experience, and it's real, and it's like, it's sad and it's happy and it's transformative, and it's like, I imagine it's probably a lot like what actual death hopefully is.
Feels right.
It's like a journey in itself,
Well, and I think that once we die, we are, we're into something new. So
Yes.
there, you know what I'm saying? So it's like one door is closing, the other one is opening, I was going to say something, but I totally spaced it first.
Hey, we've done pretty good so far for that not happening. Considering we've never had a conversation before, so yeah,
I know, right?
This is cool.
Well, and I'm a stoner, so
yeah, me too.
I was like, am I gonna make it through like an however long without smoking? Because
no, so people smoke weed on the show. Actually, it's happened quite a few times.
I was gonna ask, but then I was like, no, keep it professional, Misty.
Yeah, well, it's up to you. I mean, ultimately, who you're gonna end up showing it to. Like, if you don't want them seeing you smoke weed, but as far as my audience is concerned, it's all up. I'm in Canada, so it's legal.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know what like completely. I don't know what it's like in Missouri.
I want to have you come on my podcast. So a few months back ago, I was having a bunch of synchronicities. Do you watch Water Baby?
No, what is that?
Probably not. I didn't figure just because you're a dude, but she's actually how I discovered Jessa. So I have crazy syncs. I could talk to you forever about syncs, but so crazy syncs. But I didn't find Jessa on her own. I found her through this other lady who her name's Water Baby Tarot. She does she has a YouTube channel, and she does tarot card readings. Well, she used to, so she started her channel. That's what she was doing, but she's really transformed her channel into energy readings and things of that nature. So talking about, planetary shifts and energy that's coming in and going out and whatnot. But she's actually how I found Jessa, and I have no idea why I brought her up or why I brought that up.
We were talking about weed.
You're like, we were talking about weed. Nope, still didn't trigger it.
And then you mentioned me coming on your podcast, and then you asked me about Water Baby.
So that's what it was. Okay, so there was just so I had I was watching Water Baby and Jessa, and then I was also listening to this other lady, Dancing Dragons, Adriana. She's on Facebook, and she's one of Water Baby's friends. So I can't believe you haven't heard of her. Her name's Lola. She's been on
Soberish.
She's been on, yes, Water Baby.
Okay, then I've heard her on Soberish.
Awesome. Okay, so she's totally awesome. But I had these syncs. Well, I started my own podcast, but it didn't get very far because I didn't have any guests, and so I was just talking pretty much to myself. and it felt very narcissistic. So I kind of sat it down, but I think I want to have you come on, and I want you to talk about your best friend. I want you to
Oh
talk
yeah,
about your room brother.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. It would be a good platform to do that because, yeah, no, for sure. Let me know anytime. We can hop on a Zoom just like this and do her up.
All right.
What's your podcast called? And can people find your, like, or did you just get rid of it altogether because you weren't happy with it?
No, I left it up just to leave it up, but it is called, oh God, I don't even know because I haven't looked at it in so long.
She forgot the name of her podcast.
I forgot the name of my podcast. Are you extending your mind?
There you go.
And yeah, I felt like I was really narcissistic because I try to kind of talk about my, and it's on Anchor, and supposedly Anchor shares it to like Spotify and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of episodes up, one about me and my twin flame, kind of a little bit about my, my awakening, and then synchronicities with Jessa and Water Baby. So I do have a couple up that are pretty interesting. Rambles, misty rambles, if you will. My friend calls me narcissisty.
Narcissisty. Well, it's nice that you can laugh about that.
Oh yeah, because it's so funny. Like one night I was like tripping shrooms, and I was like, I really want to do something cool, and he was like, oh, what's narcissisty want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Like,
what's narcissisty want to do?
Yeah, like I don't know, something spiritually cool, man. Like quit killing vibe.
Absolutely. And hey, were you rocking the masks before COVID-19, or did you start with the bandana thing? Because I just went through your pictures a little bit, and I saw you were rocking that.
EST. I've been rocking this. This is Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh shit! Okay, shouts out to Machine Gun Kelly.
Fuck yeah, that's right. Lace the fuck up.
I make rap music, so talk about music.
Well, yeah, let's talk about music.
Yeah, so did you think Machine Gun Kelly beat Eminem? You must.
So I was honestly never an Eminem fan, okay?
Really?
So I gotta put that out there. Yeah, I just feel like he was very, I don't know, he's what's wrong with my generation of men. They're all disrespectful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was like, he was a part of that. Like, he put a lot of negative connotation on white guys. Like, I just feel like that's,
yeah, he kind of did, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's my own opinion. So that was all publicity. That was all for money. So the two songs were produced by the same person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Shady Records is a part of P. Diddy's, what the hell is it? Sony Records or whatever?
Interscope. They're all under Interscope.
They're all connected. It was just all publicity. So as far as whether or not I think, like, do I think that Machine Gun Kelly's song was catchy? Yeah. Lyrically, was it better than Eminem's? I mean, verbally, not really, but, you know, to each his own, whatever.
I think they were both really good. I think that they both, they both did their fucking thing. They both made good diss tracks. There were two good diss tracks as far as diss tracks go, you know. You said there's a lot of negativity involved in those types of songs, but I think they both did their fucking thing, and it was a lot of publicity, and it was a whole lot of views, and it was good for both of their careers. People say, "Oh, Machine Gun Kelly's career is going to be over." It's like, no, many more people know who he is now than they did before. It was good for him too. You know,
That's
Rap Devil's an impressive song, and he says a lot of things about Eminem that are very true.
He really.
So you're from Kansas City. Do you fuck with Tech Nine?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I grew up on him. I met him when
Simo.
Simo.
Yo. Yeah, when I saw Tech Nine live for the first time, absolutely blew my mind.
Yes. Oh man, I seen him. God, back in the '90s. Okay. So,
really?
I'm 30. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm 38. I'll be 39 this year.
Well, good for you. I didn't. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Tech Nine's been around a long time, eh? Like, but I can't imagine him performing in the '90s.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The first time I seen him on a big stage was out at Sandstone, and it was like, I don't know, summer, probably like, I don't know, 96. That wasn't the first time I seen him, but he was, and actually it might have been 98, but he was on a big stage here in Kansas City, which he hadn't been prior. So he came out in the straitjacket, and I just remember being so in awe. Like, it was just like it was
There's
the
a
neatest
presence.
I had ever seen. Like, the lighting was awesome. They had this smoke coming out. Like, it was badass.
Yeah.
But he's amazing. Like, I mean, as far as, you know, putting the city on the map for, you know,
yeah,
involved in the community that he is, like, you know, I mean, he's still very much so. They have him light the Christmas tree downtown, like,
really.
stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well, the second you said you're from Kansas City, Missouri, my first thought was Tech Nine. You know, he put it on the map. There's no question.
Yeah, and I've been, you know, I mean, been in plenty of. He comes and he supports local artists. He promotes local people. You know, I mean, like JL, and I don't know if you.
Yeah, JL is fucking awesome. I love JL. Yeah, he's so underrated.
Those are people who are in my real actual life. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm friends with them, but like, we've definitely done business, or, you know, rubbed elbows in the same buildings and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, he seems to be a genuine supporter of all things Kansas City, Tech Nine. Like, even when the what was it? The Royals, the baseball team, they were every single time when they were in the playoffs, you know, you would see them sitting with the Strange Music t-shirts right there behind the fucking batter every single game. And like, you would know, like, if it's Kansas City, Tech Nine's connected somehow. And then the same thing when you guys just won the Super Bowl, he was all over, right? So yeah, no, I've always respected him for that. You know, seems to have given back to his community and just been a fucking real dope human being. Not to mention one of the greatest performers of any genre of music ever. Like, his performances are. Anyone gets a chance to see a Tech Nine show, please go do it. Change your mind about rap shows, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you definitely just stand on stage, that's for sure. And that's same with Machine Gun Kelly. If you haven't been to a Machine Gun Kelly show, you gotta go.
No, I haven't seen him.
Oh man, talk about so, you know, and here's the thing. This is what I like about Machine Gun Kelly, because, you know, it's EST, you know, and that means everyone stand together.
Right.
That's what it stands for. And so, you know, the people, we're a family. We got it tatted. I mean, we're a family, you know, and the energy is insane even before he comes out on stage. And when he does, the energy just intensifies that much more.
Wow.
You know, it's definitely unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. That's for sure.
Well, he definitely has some serious fucking energy.
Oh yeah.
I can only imagine.
I just don't know how you would get all fucked up every night and have that much energy on stage,
yeah,
you know?
No, I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm too old for that nowadays.
You gotta be a real rock star to do that shit, man.
I guess so.
You gotta be a real fucking rock star. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think we're you know, we're at a pretty good time here. I would love to save some further discussion for when I hop on your podcast. So let's set that up as soon as possible, and we can do that. Yeah, it's been fucking amazing. You hit quite a few chords with me, and I'm sure when I'm listening back to this, I'll think of a few things that I want to follow up with you about that I thought of saying but forgot. So yeah, no, you hit a lot of things for me, and a super great conversation. So thank you so much for coming on and being the first lady of Ezza Trips Balls. It's Misty. So anything else you want to say, you know, to the people who may or may not be listening to this crazy podcast?
No, thank you. Just thank you for coming and listening, and thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. And one more time, do you have like Instagram, Twitter, just Facebook?
Nope, you can find me pretty much on all platforms. Mystical Being 19XX.
Boom. EST.
Yep.
Everyone's staying together.
And it is mystical. It's Mistical. So
Awesome. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Misty, for coming on. And shouts out to Kansas City. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye.
About to take a plane to another plane, to another plane, to another plane, bumping back and not nice while I'm trapping in the rain.